Hello, welcome to our Forjars kitchen. My name's Alina, and today we are gonna pressure can beef stew. You will need some choice cut beef, potatoes, carrots. You could use celery, you could use jalapenos in there. You don't wanna put a lot in there. You can use some fresh parsley and onions. The spices you will need will be salt and peppercorn. Now the canning tools that you're gonna need are, of course, your jars, your Forjars lids, your timer, your magnetic lid lifter, be able to lift up your jars, debubbler, which also has measurements on it, our funnel, and of course, our pressure canner. All right, so to begin placing everything into our jars, I like to use my funnel. That way I don't have ingredients all over the place. So we're gonna do 1 layer of beef. Now I like my beef stew to be hearty, so I like to add a lot of meat in there, and my husband loves it that way too. And we're gonna go ahead and add in our potatoes. And another reason why I like using my funnel is because none of the grease or anything else will get on the lid, and so when the lid grips onto it, it's gonna have a nice seal to it. So let's get all these potatoes in there, and we're gonna pack them down in just a moment, so don't worry about that part. Let's get some carrots. Now we want to get it packed down in there nicely, not too tight, but just enough. And we'll add a little bit of more onion here. And what's amazing about this recipe is that you can add as much as whatever you like. So if you don't like onions, don't add the onions. Add more celery, some more carrots. So it's all up to you. So now we are finishing up our last jar, and we are going to go ahead and add some salt and peppercorn to that. Now remember, you don't want to add too much seasoning so it doesn't overpower the meat. Since this is going to be pressure canned, all of that flavor is going to be brought up. So now as we are going to add our boiling water, you'll notice that it comes right up to the top, and you want to make sure that you have 1-inch headspace so that you're not overfilling it. So we're going to use the bubble popper to make sure that all the bubbles are out of there. Now we're going to move on to a very important step. We want to make sure that we wipe the rims of our jars with vinegar. The reason we do this is to make sure that there is no salt, any other kind of grease, or anything else, fats, especially from the meat. You want to make sure that there is nothing there so that you get a good seal on your lid. So now we're going to go ahead and put on our lids and rings. And make sure that your rings are put on finger tight. And a really cool trick I learned on how to know that it's finger tight is that when I'm twisting it on, and then I want to make sure it's tight, but if I don't move my wrist, if I move my wrist, it's going to be too tight. And what I really love about Forjars lids is that when the lid is on there, and you'll notice that it doesn't move around, which makes sure that you have a good seal. Now that the water in the pressure cooker is ready, we're going to put our jars in there. Now that we have our jars in there, we're gonna have to close our lid. You will hear the air being pushed out of there. Very important part right now. So we're gonna keep an eye on this to see that the vent, once it starts venting steam, we need to let it do that for 10 minutes. Once it's done that for 10 minutes, we're gonna go ahead and place the cap on top with the weights. Now that our timer went off, we're gonna go ahead and close off the vent. So for Florida, since we're at 0 sea level, we're gonna go ahead and we wanna get 10-pound pressure. So we're gonna take off one, and when you're going up to the vent, make sure you're coming up from behind so you don't get any of that steam on you. Now that we've covered the vent, we're gonna set our timer for 90 minutes. Now, even though our jars are in there, and I know that after all the hard work, you might wanna sit down and kick up your feet, but we do wanna keep an eye on the pressure gauge. We wanna make sure that it doesn't go past the 10 mark. If it does, you'll just lower the heat on your stove and then just keep an eye on it from there. Now that our 90 minutes are up, all we have to do is just turn it off, and we're gonna wait until the pressure gauge shows that it's back all the way to 0. Then we will take off the vent cover. Now that we've got the weighted cover off and all of the pressure is gone, we're gonna go ahead and open our lid. Now you have to be very careful when you're lifting these up. Make sure that your jar is upright so you're not turning it on its side. And now as we head into our fall and winter months, this is gonna be perfect for that. So good. The flavors are delicious and the meat is tender and juicy. Now you know you want some of this. Now if you like to add some spiciness to your life like I do, you can take a bite of the jalapeno. Now, since we opened up one jar to try, just to make sure that we have all the flavors, everything is there, the jars that are not opened, you wanna make sure that you let them stand anywhere from 16 to 18 hours. And during that time, you'll hear the pop of the lid going down, and then you'll be able to just move them, clean them up, take the ring off of them after that, and store them. Thank you for joining us at our Forjars kitchen today, and hope that you enjoy this recipe. We hope to see you again next time. Be blessed. I know I'm gonna go enjoy some beef stew.